Hey, hockey fans, welcome to Goal Line Hockey, and today we're going to take a look at the New York Islanders and their recent problems they've been having, a part of a identity crisis of sorts. Make sure to stay tuned, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe as well. So the Islanders, last June, obviously lose their franchise player in John Tavares. He goes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Calvin DeHaan moves on, goes to the Carolina Hurricanes. Continuing down the list, Yaroslav Halak, who's been a starting goaltender for the Islanders for a few years. He moves on to Boston. Chris Wagner, a guy they got at the trade deadline. He moves on to Boston. The list goes on and on. The Islanders bring in guys like Komarov. Bring back Matt Martin in a trade with Toronto. You see guys like Valtteri Filppula come in, Tom Kuhnhackl. And the Islanders started the season mediocre. They were pretty good. And then once they got into, say, November, the Islanders really turned it on. One of the better teams in the NHL, and probably from November till the trade deadline, or really until the All-Star break, the Islanders played really, really good hockey for probably 3.5 months. Probably some of the best hockey in the NHL. Absolutely. And since then, we had the All-Star break. They kind of fell into a little bit of up and down. And then the trade deadline came, and the Islanders stood pat. Lou Lamoriello decided the Islanders were not going to make a big move at this year's trade deadline, for better or for worse. And I believe that this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think Lou Lamoriello made the right decision. And the reason I say that is I remember Gar Snow. As much as he was hated and why didn't he get Matt Duchene and things like that, I remember the Islanders were very close when they were talking to Joe Sakic about Matt Duchene. It would involve Michael Dalcol, Ryan Pulock, a first-round pick. Whoa. No, not a good idea. And you look at that trade now, right? And what did that trade become? Joe Sakic got Ottawa. They got their first-round pick, which may be the first overall pick at this year's draft. And look how good Ryan Pulock has become. So you would have been giving up Ryan Pulock, who has been probably the Islanders' best defenseman in my opinion, and a top draft pick, which it might have been last season's as well, which could have been 14 or 15, but if the Islanders lost the draft lottery, they would have had to really think about it. And then losing John Tavares this year, this could have been a disaster trade by Garth Snow. And if Matt Duchene didn't produce, I mean, we've seen, yeah, he's played well with the Ottawa Senators, but that team is not, they aren't going anywhere. They're rebuilding now. And that win now trade a couple years ago by Pierre Dorion and the Ottawa Senators has completely backfired and set this team back at least 2 or 3 years. Imagine the Islanders did that same thing. I'm feeling pretty happy with where the Islanders are right now. And to make a trade for Matt Duchene that would have costed them too much, I think it would have been, honestly, a huge mistake. And yes, I would have liked Gustav Nyquist for a third-round pick. Yes, I would have, But you also have to consider as well that these guys have to waive their no-trade clauses as well, such as a guy like Gustav Nyquist. He might not have wanted to come to the New York Islanders. He was not going to reject. If he had to choose between San Jose or the Islanders to leave his home and uproot his family for a couple of months to win a Stanley Cup, a lot of guys would choose San Jose, Nashville, Winnipeg, Pittsburgh, Washington, those teams. They're not really going to be flooding in to play with the Islanders. And it's a rough, honest, think about, but it's really the truth. And something that concerns me this summer is the Islanders have a lot of cap space. And they've got some guys to resign. Brock Nelson, their first line center for a large portion of the year. Anders Lee, their captain. You go up and down the list. Goaltending, you have Robin Lehner. What are the Islanders going to do with all these guys? How much are they going to give them? I mean, I was saying Robin Lehner could possibly get 4 years, $5 million. And the thing that concerns me most about that is the Islanders have a goaltender in Russia, Ilya Sorokin. He's putting up video game numbers for the past 2 or 3 years. Probably the best non-NHL goaltender in the entire world. And he is not playing with the Islanders. So, recently, there have been some side deals going on with Lou Lamoriello, possibly giving a little nudge to Ilya Sorokin's agent. He was recently at the Islanders Iceworks a couple of months ago. There have been rumors the Islanders are interested in a center from the KHL as well. They've been talking to him. He may come to the Islanders over the summer. And this is really no surprise to me, really, as we've seen in Toronto that Lou Lamoriello brought in guys like Igor Orzhaganov, Nikita Zaitsev. How they've worked out necessarily is possibly a different story, but we saw even this past season we've seen the Islanders try Jan Kovar, which didn't work out, but Sorokin is on a different level. He is such a good goaltender, and the reason that he did not come to the Islanders was he didn't like the Islanders' stability. He didn't like the stability of the franchise. That's why he didn't come to the Islanders, and there have been recent talks that within the next 2 or 3 years that Sorokin would be interested in coming to the Islanders. And unfortunately, he just did re-sign a contract with the KHL, and I don't believe he can break that contract very easily. It would take a lot. We'll see what happens, right? But for the Islanders' sake, you really hope they could get Sorokin, and that's what concerns me about Lehner, because you've also got a guy, Linus Soderstrom, in the American Hockey League, who I really like. You've got Christopher Gibson. When is he going to want to come up? And he had an unbelievable season last year, and 2 years ago he's had some opportunities. So what's going to be the future of the Islanders? And I worry about a guy like Filppula. He's not going to want a 1-year deal again. He just recently got the 1-year contract. And the Islanders have a guy in the American Hockey League I really like, in Otto Koivula. He's a big center, and he's been playing very well in Bridgeport this year. Jordan Eberle, another guy. The thing with him is the Islanders have Michael Dal-Cole, Kiefer Bellows, Oliver Wahlstrom. You go up and down the list of guys that are either playing in the American Hockey League or elsewhere that can come into the Islanders within the next 1 or 2 years. Do you want to lock up Jordan Eberle for a 4 or 5 year deal that possibly sets one of those guys back or doesn't allow them a spot in the roster? So these are things that Lou Lamoriello, I believe in Lou. I was skeptical at some moves that he's made, but we just have to believe that Lamoriello knows what he's doing. He's trying to do what's best for the franchise, for the Islanders. And we've seen across the NHL teams take risks like Columbus and Nashville and Winnipeg, and they've got free agents that are going to just probably walk with no real issue. If they can win the Stanley Cup, they don't feel bad about losing those guys, right? But the Islanders are not in that situation. I love the way they're playing this year. Absolutely. They have been such a great story, kind of like Vegas. And in the beginning of the year, Islander fans were hoping, well, maybe we could be the Vegas, the prove everybody wrong team. And considering they were supposed to be below Ottawa and Vancouver and teams like that, it was really tough for Islanders fans to gulp down the loss of a franchise player that they've had for almost the last decade, and he just walks away. That was a tough loss for the Islanders, but they have been able to overcome that and be one of the best hockey teams in the NHL, led by Matt Barzal, Ryan Pulock, and all the young prospects that the Islanders are holding on, waiting for them to come up. Noah Dobson on the back end, Parker Witherspoon. Devin Tays recently came up, and everybody's saying, "Oh, what a shock story." No, the Islanders have known about Devin Tays. The problem is, last year he was hurt at the end of last season, unfortunately, when he could have probably been called up, and unfortunately, that's what happens. So there's a lot of excitement for me. You can see I'm so excited for the future of the Islanders. Yes, if the Islanders get bounced in the first round this year by Carolina or Pittsburgh, all right, whatever. Like, if they make it past that, the first or second round, I would be absolutely amazed. But the fact that this team made the playoffs, is still in the running for first place in the Metropolitan, with Pittsburgh and Washington kind of nipping at their heels or right above them. This has been such a great season for the Islanders, and it's nice to be an Islander fan and in mid-February, mid-March, end of March, talking about the Islanders being a playoff team, kind of locking it in and getting ready for a great playoffs ahead. I'm so excited for the playoffs, not just for the Islanders, but for the rest of the NHL. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, everybody. Make sure to subscribe as well. And showing a little bit of my Islanders fandom here today. I haven't really done that yet, but I'm so excited for the Islanders' future, and oh man, it's really exciting. And yes, Jonathan Tavares, whatever, he left. I'm not one of those Islander fans that is bitter about John Tavares. Yes, I'm upset at the way he left. I would have been one of those people booing him as well. Maybe not throwing rubber snakes or jerseys at him. But John Tavares was definitely a guy that I looked up to. I looked up to him as a player. And growing up, throughout most of my time as an Islanders fan, he was really, the first good Islander I really liked. There were guys like Bill Guerin, Mike Comrie. That was like my first real impression of the Islanders, and yeah, look how that turned out. So John Tavares was really the first guy that I really looked at as the Islanders' savior and their superstar. And throughout a lot of that time, I was cheering on Corey Perry and the Buffalo Sabres. So yeah, those teams were up and down as well. Not nearly at the level of the Islanders. $15 package deals to go to Islander games with a hot dog and a soda. I remember those days. But it's almost what was the demise of the New York Islanders on Long Island. So I'm happy that things are going well for the Islanders. And yeah, tickets are hard to come by. But I'm definitely hoping to get to a playoff game this spring. And we'll see what happens with the Islanders. If you stay tuned till the end, I just want to ask you a simple question. Will the Islanders make the playoffs next season? Yeah, we know they're going to make it this year, but do you believe in the Islanders next season? And I, myself, am a little bit on the edge about this. So the Islanders are one of those teams that you just don't know what you're going to get. And especially, we've seen teams like the Devils and Colorado have a good season and kind of regress the next season. We'll see what happens with the Islanders. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.